Hey folks, I've got a manual log splitter here. I'm going to show you how to bleed it and add oil. And you see it's the kind that's got two arms on it like this to pump it manually. Harbor Freight sells it, that's where I bought this, but there are a couple of other brands that are essentially identical. Now I want to show you how to fill this with oil. First I'm going to retract this thing all the way, and I want to say don't follow the instructions, or at least not the Harbor Freight instructions, because it doesn't work that way. So what you're going to do is you're going to retract this all the way. You can leave this open or closed. I'm going to leave it open. And you've got to get this rubber, let me pull these arms out. You need to get this rubber plug out, and it takes a little messing with your fingers. It's stuck in there pretty good. But I've taken this out a few times to bleed this. Woo. All right, and then you saw it retract the rest of the way once we got all that pressure out. So we'll set that off to the side. I'm gonna wipe off this oil that just squirted out of it. So you can see I've got oil, and you may have the same problem I had at the very beginning when I first got it. It wasn't working. Well, mine came with no oil, which is fine. I added oil, but bleeding it was a challenge. So that's what I want to show you here, how to add the oil and bleed it. So I'm going to just stuff a couple of paper towels on each side to catch any oil that I will spill. Now when you put in oil, it's very important that you're either on a very level surface, or that the back side of this, where the hole is elevated the tiniest bit, because if it's the other way around, you'll fill this with oil and there will be air up here because you've got an air bubble. So I've got this tilted up the tiniest bit, and I'm going to add a little bit of oil. I've got my hydraulic oil here, and you can buy these that have their own nozzle on them. I'm going to use a funnel here to add just enough until it reaches the top.
There you go.
And mine just overflowed. I'm not sure it's full, and one problem you might encounter is you get an air bubble at the top as you're filling it, and that air bubble prevents oil from getting in there. So you have to pop the bubble. Yeah, that as soon as that drop went in, it was full.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I know I'm definitely full. Now, this is where it gets tricky, or you've got to take this little rubber plug and squeeze it back in there. And sticking this rubber plug can be a bit of a pain, and I end up using a real thin screwdriver to help guide it in, because it doesn't want to go in because of the oil in there. One trick that I use is I use a hammer that allows me to push down it while I poke in with the screwdriver to push it, just to get it started and to make sure all the way around the plug is in the hole to start. And then from there, you have to just keep pushing and squeezing it. Now, because there's oil in there, that plug doesn't want to go in because there's no more room for the plug. But that's the best way to prevent getting any air in there. And there we go. I've got the oil. I'm going to put these arms back in. I've got this closed, and the problem that you may have, like I've had several times when I fill it, as you move these, there's still a lot of space in there. I'm moving that, and it's not catching until there. Now it moves a little bit, and I go back, and I go, nothing. So it's only going the tiniest bit. Well, that's because there's a little bit of air in there. So let me show you how to get that out. With this closed, and extend it some so you've got some pressure. While it's doing that, you're going to come back down to your plug, and I'm going to use a paper towel, but I'm going to take this real thin screwdriver, and I'm going to lift up the edge of the top of the plug and just press in on the shank, and some of that air pressure is going to squeeze out of there. So I'm going to just keep my thumb on the plug, but I'm gonna reach in here and you'll hear a little hiss of some air coming out. And get it under there. Ready? Do you hear that little, you may hear a little, just a little whistle as that came out. So do this again. Oh, now it's catching almost all the way back here. Right there. Now it's catching and moving. So keep extending it, and there's probably still a little bit of air in there. And there is for me. There's still a little more air, so I'm gonna come back and do that again. And you don't want to do it too much, but here we go. Get real close so you can hear it. Here we go. Get on there. It's a little whistle as the air that was in there came out. Keep going a little bit more. And there's still a little bit of gap in there, so when do it again. Got some more air out. A lot in there. That's feeling pretty good. Oh yeah, that feels pretty good. Yeah. And you don't want to let too much out, because at some point you'll let too much out and then oil will come out. That feels pretty good. Just like that. Oh, gee, maybe a tiny bit more. Tiny bit here. Whew. I heard more come out. And that feels pretty good. Let's retract this. In there. So I retracted it, and now I'm going to pop this again, tiny bit. You only want to do a tiny bit. If you hold your screwdriver in there too long, oil will come out, and then you've got the problem again. Jeez. You can hear that? That's pretty good.
Oh yeah.
I like the way that's working. So I think I'm going to call it good there and not open up any more, take any more air out. Now that I've got this bled, I'm going to show you how this thing works. And that ram is moving nicely with every stroke and getting the full power of each stroke. All right, now I've gotten it to the end here. This one's kind of hard to push, especially now. But this one, being the smaller cylinder, each push doesn't put as much force into it, which means I can do it. And there we go. And once it splits, the left one is easier. Log split. Open it up. And there you have it. Nice split log. Thanks for watching. Good luck when you do it.